before there was earth as we know it, before the rivers, the mountains, the forests, before even a single breath of humanity was taken, there was only the vast expanse of creation, unseen to us, but known fully to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. The Qur'an reminds us, it is Allah who created the heavens and the earth and whatever is between them in 6 days, then He established Himself above the throne. Surah Al-Sajdah 32:4. This verse tells us that creation itself unfolded in stages, with balance, order, and wisdom. The universe was not random nor meaningless. It was purposeful, designed, and calculated. Modern cosmologists like Stephen Hawking and Michio Kaku describe the Big Bang as the beginning of time and space, an instant when all matter burst forth from a single dense point. Yet 14 centuries ago, the Qur'an declared, "Do not those who disbelieve see that the heavens and the earth were a joined entity, and we separated them." Surah Al-Anbiya 21:30. The cosmic beginning, an echo of divine truth. Long before Adam alayhi salam walked upon this earth, another creation lived here. They were called the jinn. The Qur'an tells us, "And the jinn we created before from scorching fire." Surah Al-Hijr 15:27. They were beings of free will like us, capable of good and evil. They spread across the earth, building societies, establishing their own dominions. Some narrations from early scholars such as Ibn Kathir describe that the jinn lived for thousands of years before mankind. They ruled valleys and mountains, yet many among them chose corruption and bloodshed. The angels, by the command of Allah, subdued their rebellions and drove many into the remote corners of the earth, into the deserts, the ruins, the deep seas. So when Allah announced to the angels, "Indeed, I will place upon the earth a successive authority," the angels asked, "Will you place upon it one who causes corruption and sheds blood, while we glorify you with praise and sanctify you?" Surah Al-Baqarah 2:30. The angels had witnessed the jinn. They had seen what happens when free will is abused. Yet Allah's wisdom was beyond their understanding. And so Adam alayhi salam was created, the father of mankind. The Quran describes this moment with unparalleled depth. When your Lord said to the angels, "Indeed, I am creating a human being from clay, from molded mud. So when I have proportioned him and breathed into him of my spirit, then fall down to him in prostration." Surah Sad 38:71-72. Imagine this scene, the lifeless clay form, sculpted with divine precision, until Allah breathed into him His Ruh, His spirit. In that instant, Adam alayhi salam came to life. The angels prostrated, except for Iblis. A being of the jinn, arrogant and jealous, he refused. His pride became his downfall. The Quran records his defiance. "I am better than him. You created me from fire and you created him from clay." Surah Sad 38:76. Thus began the eternal struggle, the enmity between Satan and mankind. Adam and his wife Hawa, Eve, lived in a garden of peace. The Quran describes it as Jannah, though scholars differ whether it was the heaven of eternity or a special garden on earth. They were blessed with everything, save for one test: not to approach a certain tree. But Satan whispered, tempting them with immortality and false promises. When they slipped, they realized their vulnerability. Allah, in His mercy, forgave them and sent them down to earth with guidance. This was not a curse, but it was the beginning of humanity's mission. The Quran declares, "Descend from it, all of you. And when guidance comes to you from me, whoever follows my guidance, there will be no fear concerning them, nor will they grieve." Surah Al-Baqarah 2:38. Thus began the human story, not as an accident of nature, but as a divinely appointed journey. From Adam and Hawa came children, and from them the first communities. But even in the earliest days, humanity faced the same test: envy, pride, and justice. The Quran recounts the story of Adam's two sons, known in Islamic tradition as Qabil and Habil, and in the Bible as Cain and Abel. Each offered a sacrifice to Allah. One was accepted, the other rejected. In jealousy, Qabil murdered his brother, the first bloodshed among mankind. Allah then sent a crow scratching the ground, showing Qabil how to bury his brother. This moment, preserved in Surah Al-Ma'idah 531, reveals the tragedy of human weakness, but also the beginning of law and morality. Biblical scripture in Genesis chapter 4 mirrors this story, while folklore from Mesopotamia and Africa also speak of the first fratricide. It seems across cultures, humanity preserved this memory, the painful lesson that envy destroys not only the victim, but also the soul of the murderer. From this early episode, human society began to spread. They formed tribes, communities, and primitive settlements. Anthropologists like V. Gordon Childe describe the transition from hunter-gatherers to early farmers about 10,000 years ago. The Qur'an alludes to this natural spread when it says, "O mankind, indeed we have created you from male and female, and made you peoples and tribes that you may know one another." Surah Al-Hujurat 49:13. From the very beginning, humanity was diverse but divinely guided. As generations passed, humans multiplied. Villages became towns, and towns grew into early cities. But with growth came corruption, arrogance, and neglect of the divine. And so Allah sent prophets, warners and guides to remind humanity of its purpose. Among the earliest prophets after Adam was Idris alayhi salam, known in biblical tradition as Enoch. He is remembered as a man of wisdom, patience, and deep reflection. The Quran honors him and mention Idris in the book. Indeed, he was a man of truth and a prophet, and we raised him to a high station. Surah Maryam 1956-57. Classical Islamic scholars, including Ibn Kathir, relate that Idris was among the first to be taught writing with the pen, the art of tailoring, and even knowledge of the stars. Ancient traditions identify him with Hermes Trismegistus, the sage of wisdom, whose legacy appears in Greek and Egyptian philosophy. Historians note that the early Mesopotamian and Egyptian societies revered figures who introduced astronomy, mathematics, and measurement of time. These echoes align with Idris's reputation as one who brought divine knowledge to his people. But humanity, as always, grew heedless, and corruption spread once more. Then came Nuh alayhi salam, Noah. The Quran records his tireless mission, and we certainly sent Noah to his people, and he remained among them 1,000 years less 50. Then the flood seized them while they were wrongdoers. Surah Al-Ankabut 29:14. For 9.5 centuries, Nuh called his people to worship Allah alone. He warned them against their idols, Wad, Suwa, Yaguth, Ya'uk, and Nasr, names preserved in Surah Nuh 71:23. Yet only a handful believed. The rest mocked him, ridiculed him, and rejected his message. Finally, Allah commanded Nuh to build a great ark. Imagine the scene. A man constructing a massive ship far from any sea. The disbelievers laughed at him. But when the appointed day arrived, the skies opened with torrents of rain, and the earth gushed forth with water. A cataclysmic flood drowned everything, sparing only the believers who sailed with Nuh alayhi salam upon the ark. The Quran narrates with solemn finality. So we opened the gates of the heaven with pouring water, and caused the earth to gush forth with springs, so the waters met for a matter already predestined. Surah Al-Qamar 54:11-12. Remarkably, this event is not only preserved in the Quran and the Bible. Across the world, cultures retain memories of a great flood. In Mesopotamia, the Epic of Gilgamesh describes Utnapishtim, a man who survives a deluge in a large boat. In Hindu texts, the tale of Manu recounts a flood that destroys humanity, leaving only the righteous to survive. In Greek mythology, Deucalion and Pyrrha repopulate the earth after a great flood. Even Native American traditions, from the Hopi to the Inca, recall an ancient deluge. Archaeological discoveries lend support to these memories. In the 1920s, Sir Leonard Woolley, excavating the ancient Sumerian city of Ur, uncovered a massive flood layer. clean water-laid clay separating cultural layers above and below. He concluded it was evidence of a catastrophic flood remembered in Mesopotamian legends. While modern geologists debate whether the flood was global or regional, the Qur'an is clear. It was divinely decreed, and it destroyed those who denied their prophet. Thus, the flood stands as one of the most universally remembered events in human history, a divine reset of civilization. After the waters receded, humanity began again. The descendants of Nuh alayhi salam spread across the earth, giving rise to new nations and civilizations. The Qur'an speaks of mighty peoples who came after, Ad, Thamud, and the people of Iram. These societies, though advanced and powerful, fell into arrogance and denial. Have you not considered how your Lord dealt with Ad, Iram of the pillars, the like of which had never been created in the land? And Thamud, who carved out the rocks in the valley, and Pharaoh, owner of the stakes? They all transgressed in the lands and increased therein corruption. So your Lord poured upon them a scourge of punishment. Surah Al-Fajr, 89, 16, 13. The people of Ad were known for their monumental structures, pillars rising high in the desert. Archaeologists in the 1990s discovered the lost city of Ubar in Oman, sometimes identified with Iram. Buried beneath sands for centuries, it was revealed by satellite imaging and excavation, confirming the Quranic mention of a once mighty but forgotten civilization. The people of Thamud carved homes into solid rock, remains of which are still visible today in Ma'in Salih in Saudi Arabia. Yet their power did not save them when they denied their prophet Salih alayhi salam. Meanwhile, elsewhere across the earth, pristine civilizations rose. In Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, Sumerians developed cuneiform writing, mathematics, and monumental ziggurats. Kings like Gilgamesh became legends, remembered in epics blending myth and history. In Egypt, the Nile nourished a kingdom that erected pyramids, marvels of engineering that still puzzle modern scientists. The pharaohs claimed divinity, yet prophets like Musa alayhi salam confronted their arrogance. In the Indus Valley, cities like Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa flourished with advanced sanitation, grid-planned streets, and commerce stretching far and wide. Archaeologists such as Mortimer Wheeler uncovered artifacts proving its sophistication, though the script of its people remains undeciphered to this day. In China, the earliest dynasties laid the foundations of Confucian and Taoist philosophy, while in Mesoamerica, civilizations like the Olmec constructed colossal stone heads, pointing to complex societies across the ocean. Despite geographical distance, a striking similarity runs through them all: monumental architecture, reverence of the heavens, and myths of divine intervention. It seems every pristine civilization carried an echo of a greater truth, fragments of an original guidance delivered to prophets. Yet amidst the rise of cities and empires, divine reminders continued. Prophets were sent to every nation, as the Qur'an tells us, and we certainly sent into every nation a messenger, saying, "Worship Allah and avoid false gods." Surah Al-Nahl, 1636. From the ruins of drowned nations and the dust of forgotten empires, a new chapter began. A man stood in defiance of idols and false gods, a man whose legacy would stretch across millennia and shape three of the world's greatest faiths. He was Ibrahim alayhi salam, Abraham. The Quran recounts his story with clarity. A young man raised among idolaters, yet unwilling to bow to stone. One night he looked to the heavens. He saw a star and said, "This is my Lord." But when it set, he declared, "I do not love those that disappear." Then he saw the moon rise, radiant and full. But when it faded, he said, "If my Lord does not guide me, I will surely be among the lost." And when he saw the sun in its brilliance, he declared, "This is my Lord, this is greater." But when it too set, he proclaimed, "Indeed, I have turned my face toward He who created the heavens and the earth, inclining to truth, and I am not of those who associate others with Allah." Surah Al-An'am, 676-79. Thus began the ayah, Abrahamic revolution, the restoration of Tawhid, the oneness of God, amidst civilizations drowning in idolatry. Biblical scripture in Genesis 12 describes Abraham's journey from Ur of the Chaldees in Mesopotamia. Archaeologists have uncovered temples and ziggurats in that region, showing how polytheism dominated. Yet Ibrahim's mission was to remind humanity of its original covenant with the one Creator. When Ibrahim عليه السلام smashed the idols of his people, he was cast into a fire by the tyrant king, often identified with Nimrod. But the Qur'an records the miracle. We said, "O fire, be coolness and safety upon Abraham." Surah Al-Anbiya 21-69. From him descended prophets who shaped civilizations: Ishaq, Yaqub, Yusuf, Musa, Dawood, Sulaiman, and Isa alayhim salam. His other son, Ismail, became the forefather of the final prophet, Muhammad. The pristine civilizations of the Middle East and beyond were now interwoven with the line of prophets, bridging divine revelation with human history.